Hello everybody and welcome to another blog post. This week the questions are as followed. The first one says, hello, I am a nervous performer. Any tips for dealing with performance anxiety? Do not get me started, okay? Anxiety is a huge problem for a lot of performers, and I think the biggest issue is that every performer feels anxiety. That feeling of anxiety can actually be very helpful in certain situations because it allows you to give your performance that spark and adrenaline that it needs in order for you to do a good job. I think what you're talking about here isn't the kind of anxiety that makes you go, I feel a bit sick, but we're on now, yeah! It's not like that. It's the kind of anxiety which it sort of marries you to the bog for 3 hours, and by the time you actually get to go up on stage or in front of camera, you're just like, I can't even. Just let me die. Which is not good. Okay, my first question would be for you to ask yourself, really, how bad is it? Okay, every performer that I have ever met gets the butterflies, but there is a fine line between butterflies and I think I'm actually gonna pass the f*** out. And it's quite a fine line, I think, in certain situations. I myself have suffered massively from anxiety in the past, and my first thing would be to go from the worst case scenario. If you are suffering from it so bad that it's preventing you from doing your job, it's preventing you from leaving the house, it's preventing you from being the performer that you know that you can be, my first plea would be to ask you to get help. And I don't mean that in a sort of, whoa, you are far too crazy for me, stay the hell away. I don't mean like that. I mean just please get help. There is a lot of help out there. Just go and talk to your doctor. Be very upfront with them. Say, this is what's happening. These are the effects. I mean, the effects of anxiety can be really far-reaching. It can be, like muscle tightness, fatigue, irritability, the inability to sleep. You could be suffering from, palpitations, sweating palms, racing thoughts, lightheadedness, even chest pains. I mean, there are people who swear down that they're having a heart attack because their anxiety is so bad. So if you're getting anything like that, please go and see a doctor anyway. But generally speaking, when it comes to facing up to any sort of performance butterflies, there are a number of things that you can do which will sort of lighten the load and really help you to be able to just focus on doing what you're doing. The first thing I would say is don't fight it, which may seem a little bit weird, because when you're faced with something like that, the one thing that you want to do is you just want to make it stop. You just want to make it go away. I mean, if somebody could get rid of it magic wand style for you, you'd probably take it. You'd be like, yeah, sure, goodbye, ding. But it doesn't work like that. So don't fight against it. Accept that anxiety will be a big part of you performing. And suddenly you give yourself permission to forget about it, which actually makes it better. It can take a little bit of practice, okay? Don't expect to get something like that right the first time round. The other things that you can try are the usual kind of things. It's like deep breathing exercises, which, it's like, you breathe in for the count of between 4 to 5. You hold it for a couple of seconds and then you breathe out for the count of 4 or something. And you just breathe in and hold it and then breathe out. And what this actually does is it levels the amount of carbon dioxide in your blood, which actually alleviates anxiety and is proven to alleviate anxiety. So that's why people say, oh, do deep breathing. It's just like, hey, I'm not into that meditation crap. It's just like, no, it's not that. It's just a proven method for lowering your anxiety levels. One of the methods that kind of helps me is to put everything into perspective. As a performer, usually we heap far too much importance on ourselves, and I certainly do this all the time. I worry about everything, and I worry about little things, stupid things that, wouldn't even crop up in the minds of most people. But, you find me, lying awake at 4 o'clock in the morning because I never sleep. the night before an audition or a performance. I try to. I go to bed really early as a result of that. I'll go to bed at 9 o'clock and I'll sleep for a bit, and then 6 hours later I'll be like, I'm awake. Let's think of all the things that could possibly go wrong in the next 12 hours. And it's not a very healthy way to live, but I do live with it. So that's deep breathing, putting it in perspective, and just don't beat yourself up. I think that's another thing. I think that's one of the things that makes anxiety worse, particularly the next time round. It's if you can't do something, say you go to perform and you just completely croak because you're so terrified of it, don't kick yourself afterwards. Don't walk away from it at the end of the day and think, oh, that was just, why do I even do this to myself? I can't. It's much healthier to sort of just forget it and go, that was then, this is now, and just to focus on the present. Trying to be in the moment in your performance will help, rather than worrying about what may, or in most cases, may not happen. There was a saying that I read ages ago, and I can't remember where, and it was, no amount of regret will change the past, and no amount of anxiety will change the future. I hope that was very useful for you. If you have any further questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below on YouTube. Alternatively, you could get in touch with me on my Twitter account or on Facebook. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now.